Hey everybody, it's Joe at Red's Fly Shop here. We're going to talk about October Caddis today, and I went down to the river from the shop here and collected a few specimens that I'll show you because I think the October Caddis is an extremely relevant insect pretty much on every trout river in North America, and it's really easy to identify whether you have October Caddis in your home stream because they make a good sized gravel case. And it's really easy to take one of those gravel cases. Sometimes you have to flip over a few rocks. They'll be on the undersides. Sometimes they'll be on the top sides. But you can break that gravel case open and hopefully find a big orange nugget inside. And in the months of September and October, occasionally into early November, those pupae are both active in their migration, and then they become active again as adults. I think it's better to do a separate discussion on the adult insect, but the pupa becomes very relevant. There are a couple of different patterns that I'll show you. One is called a tungsten jig mop fly in the orange color, which I think is a fabulous match. My personal favorite way to fish that is on a Euro style or tight line rig. I hate the term Euro style. I think it's just tight line nymphing. But fishing it on a tight line on light mono so that I can actually agitate the fly, wiggle it, move it across the bottom rather than just drifting in the current, because these bugs are very active in their ability to both crawl and swim. And as I understand it, there are two major subspecies of October Caddis. One can crawl, one can actually swim quite well. Most of them will hatch on the shoreline. So the shallow edges, banks where you have decent holding water right near the shore, those big case caddis or October caddis will congregate in the fall time and then migrate out onto the shore, and they do that nocturnally. So all the way into early evening is a great time to fish an October Caddis pupa, and I tend to fish them as the day goes on. I'll go from tight line nymphing them real deep and real slow right along the bottom to fishing them much lighter, and then concentrating on fishing the swing up or even holding them suspended more in the evening. In fact, a chubby Chernobyl with a real short dropper to a lighter weight October Caddis pupa can be a great way to fish the evening, because those pupa will free float in the evening, and then in the evening too, the fish tend to see up better to find silhouettes. One's a tungsten jig mop that I really like. The other one's called a Caddyshack. There are lots of different patterns. You can, of course, buy these patterns at Red's. You could tie your own or procure your own somewhere, but we sell some really great patterns for this October Caddis hatch. The October Caddis, I have heard people swinging them on sink tip lines. I know that's somewhat regarded as a common strategy. I personally have had almost no success doing that. I've tried doing that on my spay rod. I've tried doing that on single handers. But I will get a lot of grabs at the end of my nymph presentations, just immediately when it lifts up, like right when that fly breaks free from the bottom. I just call that the break point. And if I'm tight line nymphing and I get towards the bottom half of my drift, right where that fly begins to lift and move up and across, I tend to hook a lot of fish. And so when I'm wade fishing, I will try to alter that break point. And it works exceptionally well with tight line nymphing. It also works well with indicator fishing too. But pay attention to where that break point is when you're in a good spot, and try to alter that break point where it lifts up so that it's not just the same every single time. Run a drift down and it breaks the same spot. Sometimes you might kill your presentation a little early. Sometimes you might let it run long. But initially, where that October breaks free from the surface can be a very, very good hookup point. So the October Caddis, super relevant. Search around on a river near you. If you find those big case caddis, bust them open. My guess is there's that big orange nugget inside. And one glance at these things and you'll realize why trout do like them and enjoy them so much. On a later video, we'll talk about fishing the adult hatch, and I'll try to get out on the water. I've been so busy guiding and working in the store that I haven't been able to go document much of my own fishing as of recently. But these are great patterns. They absolutely should be with you. If you can find fish moving aggressively or willing to grab a larger fly, generally I will start with larger flies and see how I'll kind of take the fish's temperature, so to speak. And if they're willing to eat a large fly, then I know I can be a little bit more aggressive and cover more water. And it's also, if you're fishing a 2-fly rig, whether that's an anchor fly and a tight line rig or just a larger fly and a smaller fly, the October Caddis pupa in the fall is a great substitution where you might normally run a stonefly nymph. And the stonefly nymphs are much less active in the fall than they are spring and summer. So the October Caddis can somewhat take the place of that. As the water cools down, don't ignore fishing this in slow, soft currents, currents that you might typically ignore during the spring and summer. But the October Caddis, it does stick itself to the undersides of rocks. It's not a very capable crawler, so it's typically not found in real swift currents. So you could target some of those slower edges, softer edges, and tailouts that you might normally ignore. But the October Caddis is its natural habitat. So don't ignore some of those softer, slower currents that maybe take a little bit more patience to fish. In some of those areas, you're definitely going to be in the right spot. So hopefully you enjoyed a close-up look at some of these really cool insects and a couple of these patterns. As far as tippet goes, if I'm tightline nymphing, I'm typically running a 5X fluorocarbon to this bug. If I'm indicator fishing, I can get away with a little bit heavier tippet typically, and I tend to snag a little bit more when I indicator fish, so I'll generally run like a 4X fluorocarbon, but you could probably get away with 3X fluorocarbon if it's a heavy enough fly that it can kind of control the tippet. But I personally like the control that 5X gives me. If I'm guiding, little different story. I might run even 3 or 4, but for my own presentation on tightline nymph rig, I really do like running a 5X tippet.